Well, we're back again Thursday night. Hoosier Main Podcast. I'm Anthony,
I am Jared.
and we're gonna rant about some stuff tonight. We've got some stuff picked out. I don't know how cohesive this is gonna be, how long it's gonna take us before we get into rant mode, but I think this one's gonna be a good one. So I think the thing that we wanted to start with was I had recently picked up a game on the Steam sale, Rogue Heroes, and it's kind of a Zelda clone roguelite. A little bit of an odd genre, but it's something that I think we could maybe talk about for a podcast. And the reason why is because I have never played any kind of I guess you could say like the classic Zelda games. My experience with Zelda has been Wind Waker was the one that kind of set the bar. That was the first one that I finished. And then Twilight Princess, I played for a little bit. Didn't like. I actually bought it and returned it at GameStop. And then I played Breath of the Wild. Didn't really care for it. And again, that was kind of it. I'm not really in on it. And I had that realization, and it just blew your mind. So I'll let you kind of jump in. What Zelda games have you played and beaten?
Hold on, rewind, back it up. Just fucking barrel down the race. Just talk about this Rogue Heroes game. Let's talk about that for a second. Now, wait a minute. Now, you bought that on the spring sale, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And you said it's a Zelda-like?
Yeah. So essentially, what you do is you do a dungeon crawl, and each level go into each zone, and it has monsters that pop up. And as you collect gems, you unlock different classes, sort of a la Final Fantasy Tactics or something like that. Yeah, you start out literally as a Zelda clone. You have kind of like the charge attack. You've got the sweeping attack with your sword, and then you can pick up a bow. And once you get enough gems, that kind of unlocks the mage class. And then each one of those have their own trees that they go down and unlock new classes and new abilities. It was really cool. And then obviously the roguelike element of it is the dungeons are randomized. The loot and stuff is randomized that you can get different magical powers, different magical abilities, different upgrades, stuff like that.
You've been playing this with your buddies, but you didn't tell me there was magic system in the game. I just thought it was just Zelda.
Very limited magic system. So I would say the magic system is based on what you pick up. You know, like if you pick up a wand, it gives you the ability to shoot fireball or something like that. Your class really only is defined by your melee attack and your dash. So the fighter class that you start out with, it gives you the very old school Zelda charge, and then you dash forward in a straight line. The mage lets you teleport, those kind of things.
Well, now I kind of want to buy it. I think it's only $3 right now for everything.
I think, I think so. It's
a bomber class. I'm looking at this right now. I didn't really look at it until you just said all those class system. Okay, fucking calm down. No, there was a class system in it. I just thought it was like, it's 4 swords, but roguelite.
That's a very accurate description. It's literally that. Yeah.
How many people can play it at once?
4.
4. Oh, so it is 4 swords, but like roguelite plus.
Yeah. So the dungeons are randomized, and then kind of the overworld is you're building up your town. So you bring your loot back, and that, the gems and your gold, that allows you to build buildings. So those allow you to upgrade your health or your weapon attacks or your mana pool. And that's how you kind of build your upgrade tree, is by building a building in the town, and then you can go back into the dungeon and try to go further in the dungeon.
Next, you're going to tell me there's a damn romance system in the game.
Oh, there's no romance system, unfortunately. Well, I guess technically you could romance the other people you're playing online with, but that's more depending on your own charisma.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, that's scary.
That's yucky. That's how you get kids, folks.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you said that you hadn't really played that many Zelda games. But this game looks like a classic top-down Zelda. This is like Super Nintendo Link to the Past. Did you play A Link to the Past?
No.
Oh, my fucking God.
I didn't play Majora's Mask. Didn't play Link to the Past. Didn't play Twilight Princess. Oh, I played probably about 2 hours of Twilight Princess. I kind of realized what it was, and you very accurately described it as it's kind of a greatest hits of Zelda games. I realized it wasn't for me, and I literally returned it the same day that I bought it.
Okay, there's a lot to say here.
Yep.
You're enraging people.
Good. I'm ready. I'm on one tonight.
Yeah, fucking. You're enraging people, the Zelda Nintendo fans right now. Jesus Christ. So, Twilight Princess, first of all, I think that if you've not played previous Zelda games, it's going to be hard to get into Twilight Princess. It was kind of like the accumulation of all the past Zelda games, but like fast food version. I don't know. And then there's a hot goth GF in it for you as a treat. You made it this far as a Zelda fan, have a treat.
Yeah.
It definitely was one of my favorites when it came out because of that. One of the best scenes in the game is when you make it to get like the big fucking mystery how Zelda games go. You get to Ganondorf's castle and it's playing on piano, a single piano, the theme of Ganondorf, and it's so fucking awesome. Oh man, visually that game is stunning. It's kind of going back to the greatest Zelda games of all time, being Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in style and in story and just everything about it. But it also calls back to A Link to the Past with the Dark World and things like that, which is what makes it so good. But I can't believe you haven't played any other Zelda game. You did say Wind Waker.
Yeah, I loved Wind Waker. I don't know why that. I mean, honestly, I think just it being a pirate theme was enough to hook me. And then I think the concept of Zelda games appeals to me. I just can't ever get into. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it feels like I'm playing a Nintendo game, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I'm constantly getting pulled out of the game, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this isn't for me, you know? Whereas with Wind Waker, I felt 100% immersed in the game. I loved it. I loved the story. I love the characters. Like you said, you can kind of predict the beats of the story, and yet I still felt engaged with the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the flagship games for Nintendo are boringly predictable in the story writing, unfortunately. At least now, only because they've made that one game over and over and just recreated the gameplay loop over and over. It's always Ganondorf. It's always Bowser. Nothing new under this sun, except for the fact that it's for the next generation. It's not for you, old man. Like, get on the new lawn, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that. You know, I'm totally okay with a game not being for me. You know, we talked about how the Metroid series, that is my jam. I loved that. I thought those games were incredible. And I could play every single one of those going all the way back, you know, as far as you want to go. It's really hard to explain. There's just something about Zelda games where I just get, it's not even that I'm like bored or that I don't care about the story or anything like that. I just get so disconnected from the game. It feels like there's like a camera guy standing next to me and he's like, so what do you think about the game? Is this a 10 out of 10? And I'm just like, just let me play the game, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It feels very Nintendo.
I love that because the entire like world of Mario has become like it's actually a show about Mario and not actually about the story of Mario anymore. It's like they're retelling it, but in a show way. Like the characters that are Mario and Bowser and Peach are actually just actors playing as those three characters. It's so weird. I think that really stems from Mario 3, where it was kind of, they had the curtain and it was supposed to be like it was on stage and everything looked like it was attached to a stage. Instead of that actually being like a sky, it was supposed to be like a painted background. And like you're telling the story of Mario defeating Bowser. So weird.
Yeah.
We're talking about Zelda, though. This isn't the Mario episode, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go on a fucking rant on Mario if you want.
We'll doubleheader. We'll do Mario and Halo back to back.
No! Yeah, dude. Okay, if you're coming from episode 13, and if you haven't, go back and watch episode 13. There's a little stinger on the end of that one. It's just a stinger because I was fucking mad as a hornet.
Oh boy.
But as far as like Zelda goes in the history of Zelda, I must have replayed Zelda 1 a bunch of times. I still to this day haven't had the patience to beat Zelda 2. I always get pretty far in it and then I end up getting killed by like double red knights or whatever. It's like super fucking hard button presses and I suck. So those games weren't meant to be easy. If you've beat it, go ahead and write me an email.
Yeah, that's the wrong.
Tell me how I suck.
Show.
Get good. Write that in the comments below if you think I should get good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the wrong show. This is the show.
Oh,
But the I don't know. Going on about the Zelda that you've not played. We need to get you to play Ocarina of Time, at least. It's the greatest. The thing about Zelda games, there's a formula, a gameplay loop that is amazing. And it started in A Link to the Past, in my opinion, where it was really strong. So the two that, out of all the Zelda games that you could play, folks, if you've never played one, you need to play A Link to the Past, and you need to play some version of Ocarina of Time. It doesn't have to be the N64 one. There's a 3DS one, and it's like updated graphics, and it looks fucking amazing. And if you like Ocarina of Time, you need to head into Majora's Mask, because it's like the sequel to Legend of or Ocarina of Time, and there's story and continuity. Whereas I think I don't know, there's like an official Zelda timeline. It's so fucking convoluted. But again, we're not talking about, this isn't some video essay.
There are other people that do a really good job of that, breaking things down and kind of explaining the lore. I think for us, you and I are much more tangible storytellers. The games that we really connect to, Final Fantasy VII being a really good example of that. It's a self-contained story, but it's obviously an entire universe of stories. And I think the problem is, because I was never in that universe, for me, that would be like me being introduced to Final Fantasy VII, aka Legend of Zelda. For me, that would be like me jumping in at Dirge of Cerberus and being like, oh, well, this is an okay shooter, but I don't understand the Final Fantasy lore, or watching Advent Children and not understanding the context of playing Final Fantasy VII and being like, well, that was a pretty good Final Fantasy movie. Maybe that's why I never latched on to... I obviously knew about the lore of Majora's Mask and Link to the Past and all of those games. I knew they were great games. I know they're legendary games. I can't connect with them because I wasn't there in the moment, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Let me try to articulate a little bit. I think I got an idea just listening. So back in the console wars, you were on one console, and you would play the games for that console. And Legend of Zelda was one of many action games that were on there. I would consider it an action puzzle game, whereas Mario is like an action platformer. So that was the one game you knew it was going to be fun and easy enough that you could play it and probably beat it. And so those kind of became, and it was a fantasy game. So I was not playing the RPG games that were on the Nintendo, in the Super Nintendo. So that would be like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. I didn't know those kind of games existed. I don't know if I could read when I started playing. Okay. And so like you can bank on Zelda games being this way and this kind of music. And it's about a little knight goes around and saves the fucking, and you're going around saving the fucking princess. If you just jump, like you said, if you just jump into this series, it's got all this nostalgia built up on it from people playing these games forever. And so it's probably hard to see that unless you put yourself in that mindset. Like, okay, this is a long-standing series that people trust will be a certain way. And I want to go further into what that way is, but I think that maybe that articulates it a little bit of what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think maybe the reason that I didn't connect with Legend of Zelda was because I had kind of already gotten bits and pieces of that, the trickle-down effect of games kind of copying great games. I was kind of already getting the Legend of Zelda experience by playing games on PlayStation, which were kind of the Ratchet and Clank, the Thievius Raccoonus series, Crash Bandicoot, even to a lesser. Tomb Raider is a really good, obviously not a one-to-one Legend of Zelda clone, but certainly that style of I'm going to go into a zone and solve a puzzle, maybe fight some enemies, have a boss fight, and then go to the next zone. I kind of already lived in that world with these other games. Maybe it was lost on me almost the majesty and the scope of that game because I was so used to contained worlds, Bioware the Dragon even to a lesser extent, where it's like, oh, that was a really cool game. Maybe it wasn't a 10 out of 10. That was, it was an 8 out of 10. And then when you do go play a 10 out of a 10 game for someone else, it's lost on you because you're playing the clone. So I don't know. That's an interesting topic.
You want to talk about clones of Zelda, and you want to talk about a game system that you had, but you probably didn't know about this. I didn't know about this until I was watching a YouTube channel who covers RPG. The guy's incredible. I used to watch his Let's Plays. Now he does like RPG news. Really cool. David Vink, if you want to plug him in and check him out, he's really entertaining. I really like his work. But he introduced me to this game, not him personally, his videos. Introduced this game called Alundra. And it's a Zelda-like that was on the PlayStation. So it's not like this genre was new. I think it was just iconic because it was Nintendo. And it was one of their flagships. And you could always count on Zelda being on the Nintendo.
I think the other thing, too, maybe this is something that you didn't experience as a Nintendo, your side of the console war. If you had a bad Nintendo game, it was probably a 7 out of 10. It was still a good game. It just maybe didn't live up to the hype, or it didn't live up to the series that it was continuing. Whereas I think a bad game on PlayStation was like a 1 or a 2 or a 3 out of 10. And it was like, well, we're never making that again. And then the great games, those were the ones that kind of were championed as, look, we're just as good as Nintendo. And it's like, well, it took 10 stinkers before we got to Crash Bandicoot. So maybe that's also a bit of it, is just Nintendo had such a consistent run of, like you said, maybe, yeah, they're telling the same story over and over again, but the story is so good that people are like, yeah, I'll play that again.
I don't think people are tuning into Zelda for the story anymore.
Yeah.
But you was talking about it, every game on this Super Nintendo being a fucking 7 out of 10. Somebody didn't play Bubsy, and it shows.
You're right.
Or Bart's fucking Nightmare.
Oh, I did play that.
Damn it, I hate those fucking games.
No, I did play that. That was Sega.
Golly.
That was Sega Genesis. That game was awful.
Golly.
Yeah, anybody, if you've got a spare 10 minutes, go on YouTube, look that up, and just observe the absolute horror and terror of, imagine yourself playing that game. It was horrible controls. I didn't understand the story.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, perfect. It's got Simpsons on the title.
That's also a quote from Bubsy. I kept trying to beat that game as a kid because it was like, it's got a cat. I like cats. What the fuck? I suck at this game. We were building up. We're building up to this fucking story issue that I have with Zelda. This is an issue I have with this fucking game. Okay, I've been playing every single Zelda game that's come out to date. I love Zelda. That was my brand. My brother was like, I like Super Mario. And I was like, I like Link. He's got a sword. That's cool. I like swords. So the story is always Link fight Ganon. Ganon die. And then we get to Ocarina of Time. And there's this big story. I mean, it's an actual story. The world has lore. The Garuda people were defeated by the Hylians in a war. And now they're just like a little tribal nation that's being pushed into the desert where there's nothing to eat and there's nothing, and the Hylians they own all this vast land and all that. And so Ganondorf comes. He's been born to the Garuda. He's a fabled man. He's been born as a man to the Garuda people. So he's the king, and he comes in to talk to the other king. We don't know what it's about. It's got to be about peace treaties. Like, look, we're going to come to war if you don't let us have some of our land back. And so the events of Ocarina of Time happen. We really don't know what happens. Well, maybe we do, but we don't really know what happens. I don't really know what happens in between the time where Link is a kid and then he pulls the sword and then he's an adult and Ganondorf has taken over everything and he's killed everybody. The main issue with this plot and how it goes is basically Ganondorf is the tool of something greater. He's not necessarily evil because we're drawing lines in the sand with these two groups of people, right? I'm right because I killed you and I wrote the history books. We get the Skyward Sword and it's supposed to be like the first Zelda. Like, this is the first time this has happened. And there's no Ganon in this story. No, there is a primordial being called Demise, and he's here to kill everybody. I'm here to kill the world because I'm evil. Of course, I like the traditional evil character. That's fun. Like, just they're evil for evil's sake. But I don't see Ganondorf necessarily as evil, but more of a product of the Hylian Wars. This is why Twilight Princess is so good. I'm going to spoil it a little bit. This is a spoiler. Sorry if you've not played Twilight Princess yet. This is my favorite Ganondorf, is in Twilight Princess. It is incredible what happens to this character. And it explains why he is chosen by the Triforce of Power. He's trying to save his people. Maybe if Link hadn't have been born, then the Gerudo people would be in a better place. So they're going to crucify this man. They're going to kill him because he's brought war to the land. And they're like, the sages are like, you're so bad, we'll kill you. And they've got him on the fucking mirror. And they're crucifying him. They're shoving these mystical white swords into his arms. And in the moment of his death, they shoot a sword through his chest, right? And he's like, "Wah!" And then he gets chosen by the Triforce of Power. And then he just fucking busts out, kills those guys, keeps the fucking sword that they killed him with. That's the one that appears in Super Smash Brothers, by the way, is that little white sword that he can pull out in one of his taunts. I think it was Brawl. Because that's, again, this is my favorite design of Ganondorf as well. Well, second favorite. There's another one, and it's in Hyrule Warriors. But, I'm just like, damn it, okay? We end up having to kill Ganondorf again, but is Ganondorf the one that's bad? Because the depiction of demise is red, fiery hair and dark black energy. Is he just possessing the fuck out of poor Ganondorf? This is sympathy for the devil here, folks. In my issue with the story. So the next part is, what do we do with Zelda? Zelda keeps trying to come back in a way, if you will, and try to beat Ocarina of Time. And so Breath of the Wild came out. But I see that more of a Mega Man X. It's a spin-off of Zelda. It's not Zelda. That's not how the gameplay works. The gameplay is heavily puzzled biome areas, not horse simulator, and broken apart one first temple with all the same artwork scattered across it. Now you see my rage to Breath of the Wild. I don't know.
Good. Yeah. This is something that we kind of discovered on our own, through storytelling on our own, playing Dungeons and Dragons or whatever it may be, creating our own stories, our own worlds and universes for whatever games we were playing. I think we all originally liked those black and white stories. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys. We're good because we're champions of good, and they're evil because they're champions of evil, and they just do bad things because they're Saturday morning cartoons. They're evil for evil's sake. And then as we got older, we kind of started finding that gray stories were more interesting. These gray villains were more interesting. These gray heroes were more interesting. And so I agree with you. I think the story that you've told me is enough to be like, oh, wow, I would love to go back and play those games knowing what you have described is in there to be found. As opposed to, like, I'm Link and I'm the good guy. I'm Ganondorf and I'm the bad guy, and then it's like, well, okay, we're going to play 40 hours just to figure this out. I love it. I love the rant. I love, the line in the sand that Ganondorf isn't a bad guy, that history is written by the victors. That's, I spent probably a good portion of my teens and 20s consuming media that was that, you know what I mean? Watching movies about World War II and shoot, all of the anime I watched back then, Gundam and anything that was related to that, where it's war is bad. It's not that the people in it are bad. Obviously, people do bad things, but war makes you bad. If you're we did this in a Curse of Strahd campaign that we ran together, where if everything is evil around you and you do something evil, you're contributing to the bad. If everything around you is evil and you try to take a slice of good, and sure, the means justify the ends or whatever you want to say. It's like, man, I love those characters. I love those broken characters who have to scrap and fight and claw their way through history. And it's like, oh, man, they're the villain. I don't want to hate the villain.
We talk about our own headcanon, and I'm sure maybe some Legend of Zelda lore junkie can really come in and pound me in the comments about how some of the story beats that I've maybe didn't understand or missed over my 20 plus years of playing Zelda games. But I think part of my problem with the story is the near genocide of the Gerudo people in Ocarina of Time. And you kind of almost see Ganondorf's point of total annihilation of the Hylians, because that's what they brought to his people, was total annihilation. Eye for an eye, and they're showing that evilness of the war and how the children have to come and take on that war. with Link. And my other issue with Zelda is brown people bad. It's kind of the story, big nose brown people bad. And I'm like, from the desert. And I'm like,
we had to fight tooth and nail to get those stories untold for a very long time. I mean, that basically through all of the 2000s, that's what the stories the media that we consumed, that's what it was. You're exactly right. I gosh dang it, man. Insert villain that we're fighting with now into the story. When I say we Americans are fighting now, they're the bad guys forever. I hate that trope.
Well, radicalizing people and things like that. We'll save that for another time for our private conversations.
Yeah.
But I think there's an avenue to renew the series, at least in the multiplayer realm, where they keep making. So they made 4 Swords, and 4 Swords is very cool and fun because we get to play as everybody gets to be Link. We're all linked together, very fun. And then they made Triforce Heroes on the 3DS. I still haven't got to play that. I bought it, and I told my friends, and nobody bought it to play with me. Everybody cry. Put cry emojis in the comments below.
Chad, if you bought that game, play with Jared.
Fuck! It would be so fun! Because I beat 4 Swords with a buddy of mine. That's where we get the whole red guys real hard bullshit, which you guys don't know about that, but he does. So I think if they do Triforce Heroes, because this is we're building up to this, in my opinion. Hopefully, I say my opinion and hopefully because we got the Princess Peach game. This is gonna be. I got to build up to this. Okay, I got to explain myself to get to where my line of reasoning wants to go. So we got the Princess Peach game, and I thought, great. From now on, we're gonna get more. I'm talking about the one on the 3DS, not the newest one. Which is, I'm glad they made another one. Because we need to see more of that. We need to see more of the side characters. We don't need Goku saving the day all day, every day. Thought Naruto taught us better than that. There's other heroes that we can like, and they can save the day. But getting into this multiplayer, multi-character idea, instead of having Link times 3, we should get... Okay, so we've got the new Zelda game that just came out where you control Zelda. Okay, so why not add Link to that? So now one person gets to be Link, one person gets to do the Zelda magic. And then the third character that should join is the third piece of the Triforce, and they should be fighting Demise. And it should be Ganondorf. And make him a good guy. Make him a fucking good guy. Fuck this. Ganondorf, not the bad guy. Let's make him good. Let's make the real bad guy come out. Come on. That's what I want to see. My favorite thing that ever happened in Nintendo history was not made by fucking Nintendo. And they've been reeling from that thing forever. Super Mario RPG. And we get Bowser on the team. Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah.
That's I'm telling you, that is incredible. That would be an incredible handshake right there if you could get that to happen. I think that right there is exactly what the disconnect is between maybe somebody who grew up on Sega or Sony is, oh, well, Nintendo stories are all very cookie cutter. I know what I'm getting before I even go in and play it. You do something like that where it's like we're destroying expectations right out of the gate, I'm in. I would totally be in for a story like that.
My favorite thing is Sega's already done this. They already let you play as the bad guy. They did it way back on the fucking Dreamcast, baby. Of course, I'm talking about, for those who don't know, Sonic Adventure 2. Finally get to play as Robotnik. And he's on your team. He's maybe not necessarily good. But, people are complex.
Yep.
That's why Sonic is kind of cool, is because he's pretty much a good guy. He still does some stuff that's kind of bad. He's kind of chaotic, But Mario's pretty much a good guy. So it's nice to have somebody who might be a little more aggressive. It might be maybe even kind of bad sometimes. And do the bad thing so that we can win. And it's Bowser. I love those stories where they fuck Bowser up and then he comes in, he's like, Mario, let's beat their ass. And Mario's like, okay. Let's go. I love that. I love those stories. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Mario for a second. Mario RPG. Incredible game. If you haven't played it, they remade it and put it on the fucking Switch. And you can even load up the old music, which is incredible because the original soundtrack is timeless. It is so good. There was some magic happening with video game soundtracks on simpler sound cards. And I think that's really awesome. The people who wrote music during that time period were incredible writers. Limited by the hardware. Awesome. But there is a series of Mario RPG. I'm not talking about Paper Mario. I don't give a fuck. You guys can flame me in the comments for this. I don't give a fuck about Paper Mario. The Mario and Luigi games are very good. They would be better if you added some of the other Mario characters into it. I love the bro power. I love that stuff. But fucking mix me in Peach. Mix me in Daisy. Mix me in fucking Bowser. Let me do that stuff. Let me play as those other characters. I love that you're giving Luigi attention. You fucking dummies. But come on. Nintendo ran off.
Imagine a game of Wario and Waluigi.
Oh, I would love that. It would be so... Make another Wario Land. And you can play as Wario and Luigi. There's a really cool indie game that I found recently. I don't know if I told you about this. It's called Anton Blast. And it's in the style of Wario Land, and the characters are very Mario-esque, and it's so cool. It's almost like the old Beetlejuice cartoon, and Wario kind of... Well, no, that's not really super accurate because it's not like macabre. It's just like dark. Like they are dark in design, and it's really cool. I played the demo, and I really should buy the game to show the creator to make more of it. Because it's obviously a love note to Wario and Wario Land. The first games they made in that series was called Anton Ball, and it's kind of like a WarioWare type game. Really cool. Look that up on Steam.
Yeah.
Check that out. Send me a fucking message and tell me how good it is, and I'll be like, I wish I had money to buy that game. It's like $5, and I'm fucking stupid with money, I guess. I don't know.
I know that's not really the point of this TED Talk that we're doing right now, but I think that's a great point too. Of some of our favorite games have come about because these long-standing series where the story is so close to being perfect, and then the fans just take it that next step and make it even better, or maybe the game mechanics are good, but the indie games are what push it to the next level. I think that to me is what is so great about gaming, is you can have these giant AAA games, millions and millions of dollars poured into them. Harvest Moon is a really good example of that, where you can have decades of really good games, and then the publisher, the developer suddenly stop caring about it. And then lo and behold, one guy goes and makes Stardew Valley, essentially revitalizes the genre, and it's like, hey, that's what we've wanted the entire time. I think that's a really good point of Zelda games, or Mario and Luigi games, where it's like these games have been going on. Nintendo is constantly remaking these stories, remaking these games. Maybe it's time to put it into the hands of indie developers and let them handle it.
I love indie developers. We could do a whole podcast talking about indie games that carry on the torch, the spirit of IPs that have gone to die or are kicking the dead horse down the road. But these indie developers come and save the day and go, look, if you had just done this, but more. Oh, wow. That's so cool. Yeah, I could come up with a list right now off the top of my head.
I was just thinking of the games that I would talk about. Yeah, there we go. There's our next session, everybody.
This is I'd say we're probably near our time, probably close to it, close enough. I think I've exhausted I don't want to. We could put the final nail in the coffin on the Zelda topic here, and I can tell you how much I enjoyed playing Breath of the Wild, but I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 as a Zelda game. Is it a game that is fun and worthy of a 10 out of 10? Probably. And I have my gripes with its design and its systems, and I put enough hours into it to be able to talk about it like that. but and have enough hours as a Zelda fan to have a critical eye on it. Not trying to tear it down from where it deserves to be as a Nintendo game, but you can't sit there and put Breath of the Wild against some of the other games in the same genre and call it a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 Switch game. Yeah, sure. I'll give you that.
For me, that's the gripe that I always had with Nintendo games, which is a lot of the times they kind of hit their stride or hit their peak, and you can point and say, this was the game that was as good as it's ever going to be. Whatever Nintendo game it is. For me, the ones that always stood out were the old Mario sports games. Those really hit their stride on the GameCube, and essentially from there they just fell off a cliff because they stopped being supported. But to me, that's kind of the problem that Nintendo has, is suffering from success, where it's like, okay, what do we do with these 10 out of 10 classics that people loved? Well, just tell the story again,
I don't even know what the right comment is to say about that topic as far as what it's I you have stumped me. Yep. But I would love to do an episode about Nintendo sports games. Holy fuck.
Oh yeah, man. If you want to talk about some, now granted, this is coming from somebody who lives in the sports game world. I play literally every single sports game that comes out for sports that I don't even know how to play, and I have hundreds of hours in them. The Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Mario Baseball pipeline needs to be studied and honed. Those are some of the most deep and incredible sports games of all time. And then they were completely forgotten, or in the case of Mario Tennis and Mario Golf, so diluted and are terrible now that they're not even worth playing anymore.
Let me put the nail in the coffin here before we Midwest goodbye.
We're gonna start rolling.
We're Midwest goodbying you guys right now. You don't understand.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
I tried to say bye, and now we're walking you to the car and be like, and another thing about fucking Mario fucking baseball, okay?
You're defrosting the windows with your window rolled down. Yeah. We're leaning in the car.
Stop. Yeah, they're like, stop. Okay, folks, we're gonna call it here, I think, and we'll give you. I'll tell you what. There's gonna be a side quest posted somewhere. I don't know where, and we're gonna go into this side quest of Mario sports games. I think that's for sure. There was another topic I wanted to talk about, but I can't think of what it is. Oh, indie games. Yeah. Well, that's gonna be the next. Maybe these are the next two. I don't know. These might be the next two. Maybe they're not side quests. Anyway, we'll see you later, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight.
See ya.